Join me today as we turn this toilet from this to this. Join us as we go through the multiple layered, multiple faceted job of changing over the cistern on the toilet and also fixing the leaking waste pipe. From turning the water off to removing the old cistern and installing the new one. Here we go. Look, full extension. Ooh, baby. Gloves, and because we're dealing with a toilet today, I've got me safe style glasses on that I use for my welding as well. But they're with me today, so I can see clearly but not get any fecal matter on the old irises. Lovely little pink pair of Vans. So this is the toilet in question. We've got a problem with it that there's actually a leak on here, but also the flush just isn't working properly. So what I'd usually do with this is we have to actually get these panels off to be able to find out what's going on underneath. And straight away this flush just feels a bit sort of muddy to me, a bit murky, if that is a technical term. So the first thing is we're going to have to get these covers off, and usually with this one you can pull this one off like that, and yeah, straight away. This is, when you see these two little hoses like this, that means they're using air pressure to push a bellows on the flush at the back there to actually initiate the flush, lift up the valve and flush away whatever you've lovingly put in there. Nice couple of Cumberland sausages or a couple of Richards. So straight away, I'm going to take them off. I'll say now, if you've got something like that with those two little kind of tubes going to it, the best thing to do is to not try to service or fix the flush, but actually replace it altogether. The next thing is I'm going to look at the cistern and just see, is it a normal type cistern? And at the moment, looking at the top of it, this is an unusual type cistern. You don't usually get this type on here. So what I like to do is when I'm going to a job to do a changeover like this, is to move it over to a cistern, to a flush and to a fill valve that is normal. For this particular type, to get this off, I've just got to run, there's a little bit of silicone at the top, Stanley knife just carefully through there, and then we should actually just be able to lift this off then. A lot easier than I thought it would. There we go. And look, Maximilian, get a good look at this. This is unusual, what we've got here. So we're definitely going to be changing this cistern. A couple of things we've got at the back here that you should look out for is the fact that we've got a nice little flexi on there, but there isn't actually a valve on here. So what I'm going to do as part of this job today is we're also going to cut a valve into that and get that done. If you have a leak on a toilet or something, you kind of have to start at the bottom and work your way up, or start at the top and work your way down. Water goes down with gravity. So when you're doing a job like this, you feel at the bottom, if it's wet at the bottom, make sure you fill the flush pipe at the top, try and flush the toilet to see that if any water comes out then you know that it's higher up, the problem's higher up. And the higher up you go, generally the cleaner you are, because you're on normal fresh water and not on the water that you've mixed up with last night's 6 pints of Stella. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is go and get my new cistern. We're going to find out where we can turn the water off and get this lot whipped out and sorted out. What? You normally find the water stopcock in the easiest to access place, right at the back of the kitchen cupboard. Now, will it turn off? Actually moves. Okay, cool. Next thing I'd say is always drain out the water. So we've turned off the cold water supply. So I'm going to make sure that's off like that. And then we'll just pop upstairs and open up some of the taps upstairs to allow air into the pipe work. Otherwise it will just pull a vacuum and the water won't come out. And then when I cut into it upstairs, we'll get a little puddle, and we don't want puddles. Get that to flush again. Now, as you can hear, there's no water going into that. Good, good. I've actually got a customer knee pad again. Take off this little valve bit here. There will be a tiny bit of water here. If you find that the whole valve is moving around, just grab the valve. So let's get a little valve popped in there, and then we can turn the water all back on, and then the customer is not, annoyed by the fact we've got the water off all day. Right, I'm just gonna nice and gently cut this back as far as I can, really, without there being any issues. These ratchet cutters are so good for this sort of job. And this just goes to the great hotel of plumbing stuff in the sky. So we're taking out this flexi here, which has done a great job and is perfectly fine, but the problem with flexis is people don't really treat them very well and they let them kink, they try and twist them up to do mad things. There is a really good version, a really good way of getting around that now. These are out just now, the Serpents, these are quality. There's loads of different sizes of them that are coming out really, really soon, but I've been lucky enough to get my hands on them. The great thing is, you can do things like that, and they'll actually hold that. They'll bend to really, really tight angles and won't even change the diameter of the internal bore of the pipe, so you're not restricting stuff. And also, look, they come with a valve on the end as well. But this will be a really nice way for us to actually properly kind of, I'd see it as a more professional way of using flexible pipe to finish off the first fix, or especially when you're going up to a system like that. But we're going to be able to get this nicely installed now with the valve off, and then turn the water back on, and then we can sort of carry on working, getting this job done. Let's pop it in. Right, so the water's back on, we got this cistern out, but what I want to do now before we move on is we need to get this little shelf out of the way, and then there's a flexible multi-quick at the back that we're going to have to replace because it's leaking. I would say if you've got something like that that's leaking, don't try and sort of fix the rubber, don't try and silicone them up or anything like that. Go to a shop, buy a new one. They're about 20 quid, and I've linked to them as well below. I've got them in the Amazon store, so you can just get them delivered tomorrow if you want. And then all it is a matter of taking the old one out and pushing the new one on. Because usually what goes wrong with them is the rubbers just get a bit old, a bit brittle, and then they fall off, all right? So we're gonna get this bit out now. It might require pure violence to get this out, but I've already got permission from the customer to get it out. My new little toy, slow start. Look, it can go really slow and really quickly. Nice little light on there, really good protection on that as well. And then this dividey bit, which I'm going to be honest with you, I never really understand what that does. So comment below and let me know. But yeah, really, really like this. It does have an attachment as well for extract, but I'm not going to need that because I've got a hoover today and I'm going to get all this lot hoovered up. But here we go. Right, so look at the back down here. We've obviously got a problem there. That's doesn't look great. This is where they've been using to kind of keep everything in one place, I guess. That is an old cast one there. Wow, someone's had to struggle here. Oh mate, I'm scared to even move this now. No, of course it doesn't move. Why would it? Why would it move, Max? Huh? Is there a reason? Of course there isn't. I'm scared, Max. This should come out easy, mate. Something's happened here. I'm scared to touch this. Here we go. Glamour. Let's go and get another flush cone. West Side in West Philadelphia. That's not actually really rapping, is it? Will Smith. Go and slap Chris Rock if you want to, but that ain't real rapping, bro. Welcome to the cathedral, the plumbing suppliers. This is the mini plumbers merchant. This is like the one that's nearest to my house. Probably a 1 out of 10 chance that they've got what we need, but we'll see. Where's your flush stuff? Do you sell flush valves? There's no chance. Like, I feel like it'd be around here. I am wearing pink socks. You love it, don't you? Well, okay. Right, cheers guys. Love you. Love you. Love you. Right, let's hope Travis Perkins has it, otherwise I've got to drive for 25 minutes. Cheers, dude, thanks. Did you hear me say it's like a condom for an elephant? Yeah. We're now at Screwfix in Cambridge. Right, see you in 2. Did you hear any of that? Did you hear the music? Yeah. Screwfix, sort out your music for your branch in Cambridge. It was just like, let's play football, yo. And then a bit of, no, there wasn't none of that in there. I need to sort of come clean a little bit, mate. I ordered a flush cone last night on the Screwfix app, went to Screwfix Hayville and realised I'd actually ordered to pick it up from Screwfix Cambridge. So I went in there and just picked up the order that I did last night. Stupid. Right, recommendation on here. If you've got something like this, wear gloves. If you're new. It's just a really small hole, isn't it? Someone's really struggled here, so we're going to be struggling as well. Carex. Lovely. Let's get that like that. At the moment, this is not going to plan because this is so small, this. This job is mental sometimes, isn't it? Right, that's as far as that's going. Right, okay, so we've got that done now. We've actually freed up a nice bit of room here. We're going to hoover all this out in a minute, but now we need to get on our cistern. You know what, I bet she's going to walk them down. I bet Emily's walking them down. I've forgotten something already. I had to go to Screwfix in the missus's car, and I've left the flush pipe and the cone in there. Emily?
Hello.
Emily,
Yeah.
Emily, can you do me a bit of a favour? In the car, I've left the things that I bought. Can you just run them over here? She's great because she's got to, you know, she's got to move a bit more, but also because it saves the world, doesn't it? I mean, we all know global warming is apparently a thing, isn't it? Apparently. We're going to get demonetised now. YouTube's going to shut us down. Honestly, if I walked 40,000 miles that direction, 4,000 miles in that direction, I'd fall off the end of the world. Left in the box by the back of the van. These are the bits she left in the box by the back of the van, so I didn't forget them. I don't know what's happened. She's ringing me now. Hey baby, love ya. Yes, Emily, I was literally, I didn't get your message. I was about to ring you and go, oh no, I found them. They're in the box by the back of the van, but you've actually put them in there and I didn't know about it.
Oh, yeah.
Gracias, mi mujer, yo te amo. See ya. Oh, she just hung up on her. Right, okay. So the main components that we're fitting back in here, quite dusty actually for some reason, but there we go. We've got a flush valve which has an integrated overflow in it, which will be really, really important later on. But it's also an overflow that if you twist it, you can actually change the height of it. So what we're going to do for this so far is actually going to turn this quite a long way down. So when the water level comes up, it starts to overflow into there, into the toilet basin. But what we'll be able to do is once we've got it in there, we'll be able to twist it and move it up. We'll be doing that later on in the video if you need to know how. This has got two types of flush on it. So we've got different levels of flush for like your biggies, yeah, your King Richards. But also for your wee-wees as well. I usually tend to set these just in the middle for both of them, and then we'll sort of adjust them later on in the video. Along the side with those as well, you've then got your push button flush valve. We've then got a Flowmaster flush. These are really, really good because they have a little corkscrew in the top of them and they actually fill up into here, which means they're virtually silent, but they still have a nice air gap on them, so they're still compliant with the rules that we have in the UK. And also a huge extra tip, always get these with a brass shank on them like that. Trust me, it will help you greatly just in general in life. Remortgaging houses, having children, stuff like that, brass shanks are the way to go. So we've got a push button flush here. If we were going to be putting in an all siphon flush, this would fit on perfectly onto the bottom of the siphon because the siphon outlets are about 1.25 inches, which is what we've got here. But as you can see on here, we've got nearly 2-inch outlet on this. And that's when these flush cones become really, really handy because we can use these, and it's a little bit naughty, but I've done this before and I've never had a problem with it. You can use the flush cones in the bottom of these, just make sure you get them fully depressed into this. So for later on in the video, we can actually use the flush cone to act as an adapter for our flush on the back, just like we would do for a toilet. If it's good for a toilet, it's good for one of these. It's got a perfectly round outlet. So that's what we're going to do on this. One thing I would say, massive tip for you, is to make sure that if you are changing the cistern over, you can do quite a lot of the work that you need to do sat in the back of the van. You don't have to do it up in the house or underneath the sink or something like that, or underneath where the toilet's fitted, because all that work you can do here and you can make sure that everything's nicely tightened up. So let's do that now. Always make sure that our rubber is on this side, and always make sure as well that it's pushed up to the shoulder that it should be sat in, okay? And pop that in here. And then, depending on what type you're fitting, you've got your washer that goes on here like so. And then you just get this up. And you can pretty much do these up hand tight, but it's a good idea. Once you've got them up hand tight, just give them like another half a turn or something with a set of grips. Don't over tighten them. Remember, you're tightening up plastic here. Plastic threads are not as strong as brass shanks, which is why I love a brass shank. I'm just holding it, the white bit down there, yeah? I'm just gonna go just like 1 or 2 nips. 1, 2. We're going to get our flush valve in. Rubber is always, if it's got a cone shape like this one, the cone always goes downwards, so it gets a really good seal. And another thing I'd sort of recommend you do if you can, so when this is sort of in and up against the wall, try and keep this lead away from the moving parts of this, because that could stop it from filling up properly. And you'll have a bit of a mare on hands, I tell you. So there we go, that's in there like that. Right, just nip that up. Usually because it's on rubbers, you won't have to go completely crazy on this. So there's one bit that I, for some reason, don't seem to have for this anymore, is usually these have a little bracket that go across the back that you fit first and there's slots onto them. But if you don't have that, there's no harm just running a couple of self-tapping screws through the back of here into whatever wood substrate you're going into. Right, so if you're worried about centres and all the rest of it, then get it central. When you're putting these in as well, you kind of want to make it high enough so it's got a nice fall into here and you've got enough for the bend, but also not so high that you can't take the lid off and get it out. This is naughty, I'm not saying that. So, big boots, links below. All the tools I use, links below. Amazon store. Counselling services, links not below, but I'll be adding them next week. Right, so this bit here now, we can get I mean, this is what I love about these, is the nice little rubber flange in there. That's going to tighten up and go nice on that. But we can just keep it out of the way and just do it like neatly. Really good idea these are. That little nippage. I always get that to the bottom of the black bit so you know there's loads sticking through. You can cut off too little, but you can't add it on again. Then depth wise on that, what you can do if you want, you can push this in to see how far it will go, or you can use the end of a tape measure, because these have a little lip in these where the toilet will go in. And then just come back a few if you want, just don't want to be too tight. So 22 centimetres from the back of the pipe. So if you want, just lay that there like that, clip it in, and then thumb it over, thumb it in. Get that in here at the bottom. It's a hard job, innit, being a plumber. Let's just give this a test feel quickly. Let's see what we get. And you can test flush by popping the button on. So there's another tip, test flush. You know what I need? I need the Bosch Explorer. Right, sometimes when you can't get to the bit because the table's in the way or something, you've got to get them locked in by feel, which is what I'm doing now. It's not easy. Nothing's easy. What a day. Ah, that's it. Good. Give everything a bit of a dry off. Let's have a look at that flush. Also, if you're not sure about setting up your full and half flush, just go to the manufacturer's website. Most of them are going to have a walkthrough as to how to do it. Right, I've just started with that flush. I just want a little bit more flush for me money. Is that enough for a usual sort of delivery? So once you've got your flush sorted out, and I recommend you spend a good 10-15 minutes getting the two done, because we've got our half flush size, which on this is kind of a quick stop straight away for as long as you want to do it, usually for a wee. And then you've got your full flush, which is obviously for Biggie McBiggerson. Put it up again now, lovely. Then when you pop your little lid on, just make sure that this wire doesn't get involved, like I said earlier on, with any of the components that you've got about. Sometimes you'll need to take a little cut out of it or something like that to make it work. Pop that in there like so. And that will stop any splashing about going on in there as well. So let's just get this hoovered out. We put the back bit on there. We've done loads of tests down here at the bottom to make sure that we've got no leaks. Usually if it was my house, I would leave these backing panels off for a little while, but I think this is going to be all right. So we're just going to get the hoover up here, hoover up, clear up, backing panels on, bead of silicone across the top. Now I've got to do is just change this button over. Just hope that the new button covers it, which I think it will. So now you can unclip that because you've done all your tests. Now if you get it like this right, and there's not enough this way and that to get this tightened up. You need to grab the shroud from the back of the van to do it. It might tighten up actually, let's have a look. Nah, there's no way there. You have to be a bit naughty here, I'm afraid, because I seem to have lost that bit, so I'm just going to put that on the back. But sometimes you just got to do it. I think people need to learn this. I give myself in that misty light, was hypnotised by a strange delight. Bit of Jeff Buckley. When I think more than I wanna think, and do things I never should do. Silicon one. I mean, that's dynamic, isn't it? That's range there, mate, isn't it? I think I've got 3 or 4 octave range, maybe even lower, all the way to like. So then, all done. Lovely. Look at that. Nice new CISTERN on there, beautiful flush. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to love this video here. Click on it right now or forever hold your peace. It's all about how to bend copper pipe.